asking, what did we learn about America this week? It was an action-packed week in America, beginning with a government shutdown as Democrats and Republicans failed to arrive at a compromise on health care benefits.
At midnight, Donald Trump and Republicans shut the federal government down because they don't want to provide health care to working-class Americans.
Democrats could have worked with us, but instead, they did something that is rather shocking to us. They prioritized taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens.
But despite what you heard from the mainstream media, that wasn't the big healthcare story of the week. It was this.
Pfizer is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid, and it will be at the most favored nation's prices. Low-income Americans will be helped so greatly. In addition, Pfizer is agreeing to provide some of their most popular current medications to all consumers at heavily discounted prices of anywhere between 50 and even 100%. These drugs will be available for direct purchase online at a website operated by the federal government. They'll be starting immediately.
The deal will mean huge relief for Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Lowering the cost of drugs is something many Democrats have promised to do for years, and yet none did. It was Donald Trump, a Republican, who managed it. That's the real story of last week. Not which party's to blame for the shutdown, but that Trump stole yet another signature issue out from under the Democrats' noses to help working-class Americans. And he got the private sector to pick up the tab. So how did he pull this off? Trump ignored the experts who insisted that health care is the Democrats' bag. He used tariffs to create an incentive for Pfizer to begin reshoring the manufacturing of drugs and demand other nations carry more of the burden. And in so doing, Trump changed the rules of the market to align the interests of a private company with those of its consumers. He also called both RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz, administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, relentlessly at all hours of the night and day, demanding that they make headway. These are the three signature moves that define Trump's deal-making. Step one, ignore the conventional wisdom. Step two, identify with the interests of the two warring sides. Step three, be tenacious but nimble, unafraid to pivot if a better offer presents itself. Ignore, align, play the long game. Trump doesn't only use this signature deal-making playbook for domestic policy. It's how he's been navigating conflicts across the globe, as he did this week. On Monday, the president got Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Gulf Arab states that underwrite Hamas to sign off on a peace plan to end the war in Gaza. Now, this was no mean feat. Netanyahu has consistently resisted calls to end the war, and the Arabs were united in their outrage at an Israeli attack on Qatar last month. Again, Trump used the three-pronged approach. He ignored the conventional wisdom of the Middle East that the war is about conflicting values. Rather than pick a side, Trump has been proudly, avowedly pro-Israel, while also making a tour of the Gulf Arab states, securing trillions of dollars in investments and laying the groundwork to prove to those countries that he had their best interests at heart, because of course they're now intertwined with ours. This was step two. He convinced both the Israelis and the Arabs that he understood their interests and that he identified with them. To show that he was serious, he made Netanyahu apologize to Qatar. Yet Israel's bombing of Qatar was actually crucial. Viewed widely by the conventional wisdom as a costly failure on Israel's part, the Trump negotiating team saw it as the opposite, an opportunity. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner saw the crisis as an opportunity to end the war, sources told Axios. They noticed that the Arabs were speaking with one voice, even if it was to shout at Israel. And it became clear that this rallying cry that seemed negative at first could be turned into something positive. Ignore the experts, align the interests, play the long game, and then pivot when necessary. It's thanks to a president who understands the art of the deal like nobody else.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.